Hi there, my name is Shannon, and I'm Willamette Week's Music and Visual Arts Editor. I'm here today with Mir McLaughlin, who is the Executive Director of Music Portland, which is a nonprofit that works to support the independent music scene here in Portland. Mira, how's it going today?
It's marvelous. It's marvelous.
I'm glad to hear it. I'm guessing part of the reason why is earlier this month, the city announced its proposed budget, which includes $100,000 for Music Portland, which is a first for the organization. So to start off, could you give us a quick breakdown of the main things that that money will be going towards?
Yeah, I think it's not just the first for my organization. It's the first in the history of Portland where city government acknowledged in two different ways um, that our music, independent, popular, for profit, you have to use finger quotes because everybody laughs when you think about profit, but um, that they're acknowledging that this is an important cultural and economic imperative for the city. And it really is kind of groundbreaking that they've stepped up in this way. And the other side of it is the film office that I know we can talk about, but it's a really dynamic change that holds a ton of promise for our future going forward, having that acknowledgement. We've been almost an entirely volunteer organization since we founded. We incorporated in late 2017 and we really launched in fall of 2018. So we're not quite 3 years old. And it has been through the efforts of an incredible group of people just giving their time to support and save our local music um, ecosystem. And so this money will give us the first sort of grounding to be able to expand our dedicated staff to do more for the music industry and to compensate some of those folks that have yet to see any sort of remuneration out of it. Um, and our goal is, as much as possible, to limit that spending to half of this money so that the balance, hoping as much as $50,000, will be the first round for the Music Portland Artist Fund. That we will provide creative empowerment grants to local musicians um, to support their work. And, because it really isn't supported by existing traditional arts and culture funding mechanisms because they weren't designed to do that. And so we're trying to create something that's never existed before in Portland and creating it as a sustaining and growing endowment against which we can make grants.
What do you think caused this shift and inspired the city to include this in the proposed budget? Do you think it was the pandemic and the way it made the industry so vulnerable so quick?
I think that, I mean, I want to give a whole bunch of credit to the Independent Venue Coalition here in Oregon and to NEVA. I think that those state focused and national stories really brought to light the significance of the industry. I will also say, I've been in City Hall when it was open 2 days a week, talking to city leaders, talking to staffers, constantly stimulating dialogue that says, this is a cultural asset and an economic factor that isn't currently even acknowledged by the city. So I've been fighting for almost 3 years to get them to think this way. They made a big hop, though, I do think, because of what we've been through, acknowledging that artists have been completely shut out of performance opportunities and educating them to make sure that they understand that it isn't that you make a record and make $1 million. You know, you don't make the money you used to off of recorded music. So paid performance is that much more significant. And it really aligned us in our pitch to support venues. But now they're recognizing that we need to support the artists and the music businesses as well.
Yeah, I'm curious since a lot of the money would go towards the artist grant. Venues are now finally able to sell tickets and make some revenue for the first time in over a year. But how has that trickled down to local small independent artists yet? Has that really affected their realities yet?
No, not at all. I mean, the venues are still in a really, really tough spot because they were able, through this incredible solidarity, standing together, providing data and advocating. And Music Portland worked to make sure that mixed use venues, bars and restaurants and things that have music, got the largest allocation in the country. I think it's still that. It was the earliest, certainly, for venue support of all types of venues in Portland. And then there was the state support. But venues are still in a tough spot because the governor will not give them a path forward to reopen. And because it takes 3-4 months in advance to book a schedule, what has normally happened is that local artists are the last ones to get plugged in. Um, what I am appreciating that I'm hearing from a lot of venues, they're scrambling to try and figure out what tours are still going to be going, when they can reasonably open. They take risks every time they start ticketing a show because it may fall to pieces. The governor may pull access, things can happen. I think it's making in them a stronger acknowledgement of the wealth of talent that's in Portland. And that, even touring bands should be relying on local talent to help them introduce new audiences to their music. So I think that there are maybe some dynamic changes. Venues are not out of the woods, and we've got a couple of initiatives we'll be talking about publicly soon that align those things, align local music and local venues and local fans in an entirely new way that will support specifically musicians and the venues. I think they're really grateful that they have gotten this far, and it is in no small part to the commitment that was already shown by state leadership and city leadership to provide those life support grants, just to make sure they didn't just shut down at the very beginning, because there was no path forward for them. Now with the SVOG grant for the dedicated venues only, that is going to allow them to do a little bit more. But some of the challenges that they're facing that we're trying to make sure that we help them with, and all music businesses, is that if the state starts to reactivate the active job search requirement for unemployment benefits, a lot of the seasoned, the veteran and experienced venue employees that have been holding fire have to go out and find a job because they're going to lose their unemployment benefits, and that's going to further damage the local music scene because they can't, if the governor says they can open at 50%, which they can't do economically viable, and they can't rehire people yet because they're not given that assurance, it's a real threat, I think, existentially, one more time for the venues to be able to continue to operate. So Music Portland will be releasing within the next couple of weeks a music job board that will allow venues to post jobs, music businesses to post jobs to Music Portland membership. And those are the people that have raised their hands saying, yes, I am a music professional in Portland. And it gives them kind of a pre-qualified list, if you will. So if anybody is making some or all of their money from music, they should be a member of Music Portland, which is starts with a free profile. Takes about 2 minutes, but it'll put you in line with a lot of these kinds of things: the artist grant, the job board, industry directory, which is another thing we've done.